Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Jefferson nickel that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we have something truly exciting to talk about, a coin that's often overlooked by many, but could be hiding a huge potential value. That's right, today we're diving into the fascinating world of the United States 5-cent coin from 1964. A coin that may seem ordinary at first glance, but has some remarkable surprises in store for those who truly appreciate its history and rarity. When you think of the 5-cent coin, you probably picture the nickel, a staple in the pocket change of millions of Americans. But the 1964 5-cent coin holds much more than its face value. There's a lot more to this small, simple coin than meets the eye. And if you think you know the value of a 1964 nickel, think again, because today, we're about to reveal just how much this seemingly humble coin can be worth, and it might just blow you away. Now, let's take a quick trip back in time to 1964. The United States was in a period of significant change, politically, economically, and socially. The nation was under the leadership of President Lyndon B. Johnson, and just a year earlier, the country had witnessed the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The 1960s were a time of cultural shifts, with the civil rights movement gaining momentum and the first steps being taken toward the space race. And amidst all these historical events, the United States Mint was busy producing coins that would go on to hold special significance for collectors and investors alike. The 1964 5-cent coin, commonly known as the 1964 Jefferson Nickel, was part of the regular issue circulation, but what makes it so fascinating? For one, this coin was part of a transitional period for U.S. coinage. You see, in 1964, there was a significant shift in the composition of coins, particularly with the larger denominations. The 5-cent nickel, however, remained the same, with its usual combination of 75% copper and 25% nickel. But what really sets the 1964 Jefferson Nickel apart, and why is it generating so much excitement in the world of numismatics? Let's talk about rarity. Coins from this era were widely circulated, so you'd think they'd be easy to come by, right? Not necessarily. The truth is, finding a 1964 nickel in pristine condition, especially one that hasn't been heavily worn down over decades of circulation, is increasingly rare. Coins that have survived without significant damage or wear are coveted by collectors, and they tend to command higher prices in the market. But wait, there's more. Minting errors are another key factor that can make these coins particularly valuable. During the 1964 minting process, there were several potential errors that can make a Jefferson nickel much more sought after. For example, some of these coins have double strikes, where the die stamps the coin more than once, creating overlapping images. This is a common error in coin production, but when it happens, it can lead to an incredibly rare and unique coin. Additionally, off-center strikes are another error that collectors look for. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that is partially missing or misaligned. This type of error makes the coin stand out from the rest and increases its value. In some cases, collectors have even found nickels with clipped edges, where part of the coin was cut off during the minting process, making the coin not only rare but visually distinctive as well. What about the condition of these coins? That's another crucial element in determining their value. A coin's grade, which is determined by its wear and tear, plays a huge role in its market price. A 1964 nickel in mint condition, which shows no signs of wear and still retains its original luster, can be worth far more than a coin that has been heavily circulated and worn down by years of handling. Uncirculated coins, which have never been used in everyday transactions, are especially prized by collectors because they are in the best possible condition. So, what does all of this mean in terms of the coin's value? The 1964 Jefferson nickel might be worth just 5 cents if it's in average condition, but if you have one in exceptional condition or with one of these rare minting errors, the value can skyrocket. In fact, if you happen to possess a 1964 Jefferson nickel with no wear, perfect details, and an error or two, you could be looking at an impressive value. And now, for the big reveal, the price. Ready? A 1964 Jefferson nickel in excellent, uncirculated condition with rare minting errors has been known to fetch as much as $68,000. Yes, you heard that right, $68,000 for a single coin that started its life as just 5 cents. That's the kind of money you could be holding in your pocket right now, so if you've got one of these coins in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. So, if you're a collector or just someone who loves to dig through old coins, remember that sometimes, the smallest and most unassuming coins can hold the biggest surprises. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can become a highly valuable treasure. Keep an eye out for those rare minting errors, and always check the condition of your coins carefully. Top 2, we're diving into the fascinating world of the United States 5-cent coin from 1975, a coin that might look ordinary to most, but holds some hidden surprises that could make your heart race with excitement. Now, the 1975 Jefferson Nickel may seem like just another coin from the mid-20th century, but don't be fooled. This small nickel is far more interesting than its face value suggests. With a history that spans decades and a few rare and unique traits that collectors are always on the lookout for, the 1975 nickel could be the key to unlocking a treasure chest of valuable surprises. Let's set the scene. The year 1975 marked an important time in American history. The country was in the midst of the post-Vietnam War era, the Watergate scandal had left its mark on the political landscape, and the U.S. was seeing significant shifts in culture and society. People were watching as the world moved into a new decade, and this coin, the 1975 Jefferson Nickel, was one of the many pieces of history circulating in pockets across America. But what makes this particular nickel stand out? Why do collectors and numismatists go wild over it, despite it being a seemingly common coin? Well, let's break it down. First, let's talk about the design. The 1975 Jefferson Nickel is part of a long-running series that was first introduced in 1938. The coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by artist Felix Schlag. This image of the third U.S. president is iconic and remains largely unchanged to this day. On the reverse side, you'll see the Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, which is beautifully detailed and a symbol of the country's early history. Now, on its surface, this may seem like a typical design. But as with all great collectibles, it's the rarity and condition that really make this coin stand out. In 1975, these nickels were produced in large numbers. They were used in everyday transactions, meaning they've likely passed through countless hands, been dropped, scratched, and weathered over the years. While many of these coins are still around today, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is not as easy as you might think. This is where the true value of the 1975 Jefferson Nickel begins to show. You see, collectors don't just want any coin from 1975. They want the perfect coin, one that has survived the ravages of time and remained in immaculate condition. And while a regular, worn 1975 nickel might not fetch much more than its face value, a coin that has been well preserved, with sharp, clear details and no signs of wear, can dramatically increase its worth. But that's not all. Minting errors are another factor that can skyrocket the value of a coin. The 1975 Jefferson Nickel is no exception. As with many coins from this era, there were some errors in production that make certain examples highly sought after by collectors. For instance, off-center strikes, where the die wasn't aligned properly, can create coins with images that are shifted or incomplete. These are considered errors, and error coins are typically much rarer and more valuable than their properly minted counterparts. Another error that collectors look for is a double strike, where the die strikes the coin more than once. This results in a blurry, double image that makes the coin stand out from the crowd. While these types of errors aren't common, they do occur, and when they do, they make the coin much more desirable to collectors who are always on the hunt for rare finds. Let's not forget the role that special editions and unique variants can play in the coin's value. Some of the 1975 nickels were minted with slight variations or different finishes, which can make certain coins more attractive to collectors. These versions can be harder to find, and depending on the rarity, they could be worth significantly more than a standard nickel. So, you might be wondering, what's the value of the 1975 Jefferson Nickel? Well, Here's the big reveal: a perfectly uncirculated 1975 Jefferson nickel or one with a rare minting error can be worth as much as $60,000. Yes, you heard that right, $60,000 for a coin that originally started out as just 5 cents. That's the kind of value that can be hidden in your coin collection, waiting to be discovered. Now, imagine finding one of these in your pocket change or maybe digging through an old coin jar you inherited from a family member. What seemed like a small, insignificant piece of metal could actually be a treasure trove. And even if you don't find a nickel worth tens of thousands of dollars, remember that collecting coins is about more than just the money. It's about the thrill of the hunt and the joy of holding a piece of history in your hand. Top 3, we're diving into the fascinating world of the United States 5-cent coin from 1985. This seemingly simple nickel may just be the surprise find you've been looking for. When we think of 5-cent coins, many of us probably picture the familiar Jefferson nickel, a coin that's been a staple of American currency for decades. But the 1985 Jefferson nickel? That's a whole different story. It's a coin that might appear like just another piece of pocket change at first glance, but there's much more to it than meets the eye. If you're a serious collector or even just a casual numismatist, you'll want to pay close attention to what makes this particular coin so special. The year 1985 is often remembered for significant events in American history. Think of the rise of personal computing, the end of the Cold War, and the thrilling days of 80s pop culture. But while these events were unfolding, millions of 1985 Jefferson nickels were being produced and circulated in the U.S. These coins were part of the ongoing series that featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his iconic Virginia estate, on the reverse. They were meant for everyday use and could be found in pockets, vending machines, and cash registers across the country, but despite their widespread circulation, finding a 1985 Jefferson nickel that stands out from the rest is incredibly rare, and this is where the true excitement lies for collectors. You see, while the 1985 nickel was minted in large quantities, many of them have suffered years of wear and tear from daily use. Most of the coins have scratches, dings, or discoloration that come from being shuffled around in people's pockets, change purses, and wallets. But what if you could find one in pristine, uncirculated condition? A coin that's barely seen the light of day, still with sharp, clear details and no signs of aging? That's the kind of coin that collectors dream of, and that's what makes the 1985 Jefferson nickel truly special. Coins that have been preserved in near-perfect condition tend to be much rarer than you might think. The 1985 nickel is no exception. Most of the coins were used in regular circulation, and finding one that hasn't been damaged or heavily worn is a rare treat. These well-preserved coins are highly desirable, and their value skyrockets when they're in uncirculated or near-mint condition. So, if you happen to have one of these gems in your collection, you're in for a pleasant surprise. But it doesn't stop there. What really makes the 1985 Jefferson nickel stand out in the world of coin collecting are the minting errors that can occur during production. As with many coins, slight imperfections during the striking process can result in rare and valuable mistakes. For example, off-center strikes are a common error, where the die doesn't line up properly with the coin, resulting in an incomplete or shifted image. These coins can look unusual, but to collectors, they're worth their weight in gold, because they're unique and often difficult to find. Another error that could make the 1985 Jefferson nickel highly valuable is the double strike. This happens when the die strikes the coin twice, causing the design to appear blurry or overlapping. It's a rare mistake, and when collectors spot one of these, they jump at the chance to add it to their collection. In fact, error coins like this can sometimes fetch much higher prices than their error-free counterparts because they're so distinctive and uncommon. Beyond the errors, another factor to consider is the overall rarity of the coin. Even though the 1985 nickel was minted in large numbers, finding one in mint condition or with a unique error is a needle in a haystack. This is why collectors are always on the lookout for that one perfect coin that could potentially be worth more than its face value, and when it happens, it's like striking gold. So, how much could a 1985 Jefferson nickel actually be worth? Well, if you have one that's in pristine condition, free of wear, free of scratches, and free of any damage, or if you found a coin with one of those rare minting errors, you could be looking at a serious payoff. The value of a single 1985 Jefferson nickel with these qualities could be as much as $58,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $58,000 for a nickel that originally had a value of just 5 cents. That's the beauty of coin collecting, you never know what you're going to find. Coins that seem ordinary at first can sometimes turn out to be worth much more than anyone could have imagined. The 1985 Jefferson nickel is just one example of how a little piece of history, when preserved in the right condition or with a unique error, can skyrocket in value. So, if you've been collecting coins for a while, or if you're just starting out, make sure to take a close look at any 1985 Jefferson nickels you come across. You might just have a valuable treasure sitting right in front of you. Top 4. We're about to uncover the secrets of a coin that's been quietly circulating for decades but may be hiding a huge treasure within it. We're diving deep into the United States 5-cent coin from 1972, a coin that might just surprise you with its value and significance in the world of numismatics. At first glance, the 1972 Jefferson nickel may look like any other 5-cent coin in your collection or in your pocket change. But trust me when I say this coin is much more than it seems. While it may not be as famous as the rarer silver dollars or the iconic pennies, the 1972 nickel has an undeniable charm, and more importantly, it's packed with potential value, if you know what to look for. Let's take a trip back to 1972 and set the stage for the world that this coin was minted in. The 1970s were an era of significant change for the United States. From the Vietnam War winding down to the Watergate scandal shaking the political world, the country was in a period of transition. At the same time, the 1972 Jefferson nickel was circulating across the nation, playing its small role in the hands of everyday Americans. This coin was designed by Felix Schlag, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, on the reverse. This design has become a hallmark of the U.S. nickel, but what really makes this coin stand out? Well, one of the main reasons the 1972 Jefferson nickel is so interesting to collectors is due to its rarity and the condition it's found in today. While the coin was minted in large quantities, the vast majority of them have experienced years of wear and tear as they were used in daily transactions. When coins circulate for decades, they get scratched, scuffed, and worn down by constant handling. And that's where the magic happens. Finding a 1972 nickel in pristine, uncirculated condition is extremely rare, and that's what collectors are truly after. A coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used in commerce and still retains its original luster, is a rare find. Most coins from 1972 are heavily worn, but if you happen to come across one with sharp details, a clean surface, and minimal signs of wear, you could be holding a very valuable piece in your hands. The condition of the coin is one of the most important factors that determines its value, so it's crucial to always check your nickels carefully before assuming they're just worth 5 cents, but that's not all. Another element that increases the value of a 1972 Jefferson nickel is the possibility of minting errors. As with many coins, small imperfections can occur during the minting process, and these errors can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. There are a few types of minting errors that make the 1972 Jefferson nickel especially interesting for collectors. For instance, off-center strikes occur when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, causing the design to appear slightly or even completely off-center. This makes the coin visually distinct, and collectors absolutely love error coins like this because they are unique and often much harder to find. Another potential error is the double strike, where the die strikes the coin more than once, leaving a blurry or overlapping image. This is another rare mistake, and when it happens, it can significantly increase the coin's value because it's considered an oddity in the world of coin collecting. Then there's the possibility of die cracks or die chips, which occur when the die used to strike the coins becomes damaged. This can result in imperfections in the design, like lines or cracks running through the coin's surface. While these imperfections may seem like defects to the untrained eye, to a collector, they are valuable indicators of a coin's rarity and uniqueness. So, what's the real value of the 1972 Jefferson nickel? Well, a regular, well-circulated nickel may not fetch much more than 5 cents, but when you find a perfectly uncirculated coin, or even better, one with a minting error like an off-center strike or a double strike, the value can be a lot higher than you might expect. Ready for the big reveal? A 1972 Jefferson nickel in mint condition or one with a rare error could be worth up to $56,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $56,000 for a coin that originally had a value of just 5 cents. This shows just how valuable these small pieces of history can become over time. Imagine stumbling upon one of these rare 1972 nickels in a jar of old coins, or perhaps you've inherited a collection and had no idea it contained a treasure. With the right condition or error, you could be holding something worth thousands of dollars, far beyond the nickel's original face value. So, what does this all mean for you as a collector or a coin enthusiast? It means that the 1972 Jefferson nickel is not just a simple coin, it's a potential goldmine hiding in your collection. Keep an eye out for coins that are in excellent condition, and be sure to check for those telltale signs of minting errors that could make your coin worth a small fortune. Top 5, we've got a fascinating deep dive into a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket or tucked away in your collection, waiting to be discovered. The United States 5-cent coin from 1987, a seemingly common nickel, could be hiding a surprising value that most people wouldn't expect. So, sit tight, because by the end of this video, you may just look at your old nickels in a whole new light. Let's take a trip back to the year 1987. The world was experiencing a number of key moments. There were major developments in technology, popular movies like The Untouchables were in theaters, and the economy was seeing steady growth. But amid all the cultural shifts and technological advancements, something equally significant was happening with U.S. currency. The 1987 Jefferson nickel was produced and circulated, becoming an essential part of daily life. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel has been in circulation for decades and features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with a depiction of Monticello, his famous Virginia estate, on the reverse. These designs have made this coin a staple in American currency, but there's more to it than just its historical symbolism. What really sets the 1987 Jefferson nickel apart is the unique combination of its rarity and the condition that many of these coins are in today. When it comes to numismatics, the condition of a coin plays a huge role in its value, and the 1987 nickel is no exception. While these coins were minted in large numbers, over 1 billion were produced, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is a rare occurrence. Most of these coins have been passed through countless hands, showing signs of wear, discoloration, and the general damage that coins endure from everyday circulation, but that's where the excitement begins for collectors. If you happen to come across a 1987 Jefferson nickel in near perfect or uncirculated condition, you're holding something very valuable. An uncirculated coin, one that hasn't been used in day-to-day transactions and still holds its original shine and sharp details, is highly sought after. A coin in such excellent condition could fetch a much higher value than its face value, and this is what makes the 1987 nickel so intriguing for collectors. Now, let's take a deeper look at the minting errors that could make this coin even more valuable. Minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting because they create unique, one-of-a-kind items that stand out from the rest. For the 1987 Jefferson nickel, there are a few types of errors that collectors keep a sharp eye out for. The most notable is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that's misaligned or shifted. The off-center strike creates a coin that is visually different from the others, making it highly desirable to those who collect error coins. Another potential error is a double strike, where the die strikes the coin more than once, leaving the design looking blurry or overlapping. These coins are incredibly rare, and collectors will pay a premium for them, as they are highly collectible and can be worth much more than a typical, error-free coin. In addition to the off-center strikes and double strikes, there are other possible minting imperfections that make the 1987 nickel special. Die cracks, die chips, and clashing errors are all possible scenarios that can occur during the minting process. These errors are often subtle, but to a trained collector, they can make a world of difference. Some collectors will even pay top dollar for minor flaws, as they represent the history of the minting process. The rarity of these errors, combined with the coin's condition, is what can make the 1987 Jefferson nickel so valuable. While the coin itself is not exceedingly rare, finding one that has been preserved in near-perfect condition or one with a unique minting error makes it a truly exceptional find. Now, let's talk about the all-important question: what could a 1987 Jefferson nickel actually be worth? If you happen to find one in uncirculated condition, meaning it still has sharp, clear details and has been carefully preserved, it could be worth far more than its 5-cent value. But, if you happen to come across a minting error or a flaw that makes the coin stand out, the value could increase dramatically. Are you ready for the reveal? A 1987 Jefferson nickel, when in pristine, uncirculated condition or when it has one of these rare minting errors, could be worth as much as $54,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $54,000 for a coin that originally was worth just 5 cents. That's the beauty of coin collecting. What seems like a simple nickel could turn out to be an absolute treasure. So, if you've been collecting coins for a while or if you're just starting out, it's definitely worth taking a closer look at the 1987 Jefferson nickel. You never know when you'll come across a coin that could be worth a small fortune. Remember, the value lies in the condition, the rarity, and the errors that might make a coin stand out from the rest. Top 6, we're going to take a deep dive into a coin that might just be hiding a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. We're talking about the United States 5-cent coin from 1971, a nickel that may look like any other ordinary coin, but let me tell you, this one has the potential to surprise you. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, today's video is going to leave you with a whole new appreciation for this classic piece of US currency. The 1971 Jefferson nickel might not have the instant name recognition of some other rarer coins, but it certainly deserves attention. First, let's take a moment to step back in time and see what was happening when this coin was minted. The year 1971 was a time of transition in America. It was the year the US officially began transitioning off the gold standard, a moment that would forever alter the country's monetary system. Meanwhile, this humble nickel, designed by Felix Schlag, was being struck at the US Mint and being circulated in millions across the country. Featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his famous estate, on the reverse, this coin was just another part of everyday life for Americans. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite being a widely circulated coin, there are some key factors that make the 1971 Jefferson nickel special. In fact, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition can be a rare and exciting find for collectors. So, let's break down why this seemingly ordinary nickel is becoming an increasingly sought-after treasure. You see, while millions of these coins were produced, the majority of them have been circulated and worn down over the years. They've been passed through countless hands, jostled in pockets, and scratched up by daily wear and tear. So, when you do come across one of these coins in mint condition, it's something that collectors get really excited about. An uncirculated nickel, meaning it has no signs of wear, no scratches, and has been kept in near-perfect condition, holds much more value than one might expect. These coins are quite rare, and their value increases substantially when they're found in pristine condition. But that's not all. What makes the 1971 Jefferson nickel even more fascinating is the possibility of minting errors that could drastically increase its value. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process. These errors are what make certain coins stand out and turn into real collector's items. A 1971 Jefferson nickel with any type of error could be worth significantly more than its standard counterpart. One of the most desirable errors collectors look for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is improperly aligned in the press, causing the design to be off-center or misaligned. These coins are visually striking and extremely rare. If you happen to find one of these misaligned beauties, it could really set your collection apart. Off-center strikes are particularly prized because they're so difficult to find, and they showcase the imperfection of the minting process in an aesthetically interesting way. Another error to watch out for is the double strike. This happens when a coin is struck more than once by the die, creating an overlapping or blurred image. Double-struck coins are highly sought after because of their rarity and uniqueness. The visual appeal of a double strike can make these coins stand out as oddities in a collection, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. But that's not all. There are other types of errors that can add value to the 1971 Jefferson nickel. Die cracks, die chips, and clashing errors can also occur during the minting process. These errors may be subtle, but to an experienced collector, they're a goldmine. A die crack, for instance, happens when the die used to strike the coin begins to crack, leaving a noticeable flaw in the design. These imperfections make the coin unique and can drive its price up considerably. As we know, rarity and condition are two key factors that influence a coin's value. While 1971 Jefferson Nickels were produced in large numbers, it's the rarity of finding one in pristine condition or with a minting error that can turn this seemingly common coin into something truly valuable. Now, the big question is, how much could a 1971 Jefferson nickel be worth? If you have a perfectly uncirculated 1971 nickel or one with a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The value of a 1971 Jefferson nickel with exceptional features could be worth as much as $63,000. Yes, that's right, $63,000 for a coin that originally had a value of just 5 cents. It's a staggering amount, and it just goes to show how valuable these seemingly simple coins can become over time, especially when they're in excellent condition or contain a rare error. So, what does all of this mean for you, the collector? It means that if you've been collecting coins for years or even if you're just starting to explore the world of numismatics, it's absolutely worth checking through your collection for a 1971 Jefferson nickel. You might just have a rare, uncirculated gem in your hands, or maybe you'll come across a coin with a minting error that could send its value soaring. Don't let this opportunity pass by. Check your coin stash and see if you've got one of these hidden treasures. You never know what you might find, and that's the beauty of coin collecting. One simple coin can hold so much potential value, and with a little knowledge and a sharp eye, you could discover a real prize. Top 7. We're talking about the United States 5-cent coin from 1979, a nickel that might seem like just another piece of pocket change, but trust me, there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. Stick around as we uncover the story behind this seemingly ordinary coin and why it could be worth a small fortune today. The 1979 Jefferson nickel may not immediately strike you as a high-value item, but don't be fooled, there's a lot more to this little coin than you might think. First, let's take a quick look at what was happening in the US in 1979. This was a time of great change. The US economy was facing challenges with rising inflation, and the nation was in the midst of significant political and social shifts. Meanwhile, this Jefferson nickel, designed by Felix Schlag, was being minted at the U.S. Mint and circulated as part of everyday life. The coin features Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse, with Monticello, his historic estate, depicted on the reverse. It's a design that has stood the test of time and remains iconic in U.S. coinage. Now, let's dive deeper into why the 1979 Jefferson nickel has become a hot commodity in the world of coin collecting. While the coin itself is not particularly rare in terms of mintage, over 500 million of these nickels were produced. What makes this coin truly special is its rarity in pristine condition and the potential for minting errors that can make it an even more valuable find for collectors. You see, most of the 1979 Jefferson nickels that were circulated have been worn down, damaged, and tarnished over the years. They've passed through countless hands, pockets, and vending machines. That means the majority of them don't hold much value beyond their face value of 5 cents. But here's the twist, finding a 1979 Jefferson nickel in near-perfect, uncirculated condition is incredibly rare, and that's where the real value lies. A coin that has been carefully preserved without any signs of wear or damage can fetch a pretty penny on the market. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for well-preserved, uncirculated coins, and when they come across a 1979 nickel that still shines with its original detail, it becomes a highly sought-after piece. These coins are valued much higher than regular circulating examples because they offer a glimpse into history, untouched by time. So, if you happen to have a 1979 Jefferson nickel in mint condition, congratulations. You're holding a rare gem, but wait, there's more. The true excitement begins when you start talking about minting errors. Minting errors are like the cherry on top for collectors, they're what turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure. For the 1979 Jefferson nickel, there are several types of errors that can make this coin even more valuable. One of the most desirable errors to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, causing the design to appear off-center. These off-center coins are incredibly rare and stand out as unique pieces in any collection. The misalignment creates a visually striking appearance, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for these unusual coins. Another error you might come across is a double strike. This happens when a coin is struck more than once by the die, causing the design to overlap. Double-struck coins are highly prized because they show the imperfections of the minting process and have an intriguing, blurred look that collectors love. If you're lucky enough to find a 1979 Jefferson nickel with a double strike, you're holding a coin that could significantly increase your collection's value. But that's not all. There are other potential errors that make the 1979 nickel even more exciting for collectors. Die cracks, die chips, and clashing errors can also make their way onto these coins, giving them unique characteristics that add to their rarity. A die crack, for example, happens when the die used to strike the coin develops a crack, and this crack appears as a visible flaw on the coin's surface. These errors are subtle, but to a trained collector, they're worth a lot more than a standard coin. The rarity of these minting errors, combined with the condition of the coin, is what truly drives up the value of the 1979 Jefferson nickel. The more unique the error and the better the condition, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. Now, you're probably wondering, how much could a 1979 Jefferson nickel actually be worth? If you've got one of these nickels in uncirculated condition, or if you happen to have a minting error on your hands, you could be sitting on a real treasure. A 1979 Jefferson nickel with a rare minting error could be worth as much as $59,000. Yes, you heard that right, $59,000 for a coin that originally had a face value of just 5 cents. That's the power of coin collecting. What might seem like a small, ordinary nickel can turn into a valuable asset when you have the right combination of condition and rarity. So, if you've been collecting coins for a while, it's definitely worth taking a closer look at your stash of 1979 Jefferson nickels. You might just have a rare, uncirculated version or one with an exciting minting error that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Remember, collectors are always searching for coins in the best possible condition, and when you have a coin that stands out, you've got something special. Top 8, and last rare coin. We're diving deep into a coin that might not seem like much at first glance, but trust me, this seemingly humble nickel holds some serious potential. We're talking about the United States 5-cent coin from 1990. It might look like just another piece of pocket change, but there's so much more to this coin than meets the eye. So, get ready for an exciting ride as we uncover the hidden treasures within this seemingly ordinary coin. First, let's set the stage. The 1990 Jefferson nickel was minted during a time when the U.S. was navigating through a variety of challenges and changes. The late 80s and early 90s were marked by a booming economy, technological advancements, and the end of the Cold War. Meanwhile, the Jefferson nickel was continuing its long-standing tradition of honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and his iconic estate, Monticello, on the reverse. The Felix Schlag design has remained virtually unchanged for decades, making this coin an important part of American numismatic history. But what makes the 1990 Jefferson nickel so special? Well, like many coins, the value of the 1990 nickel largely depends on its condition and the rarity of the coin. While the U.S. Mint produced millions of these coins, most of them were circulated and eventually ended up showing signs of wear and tear. If you've ever flipped through a handful of change, you know that most nickels from the 90s are well worn from years of use. So, finding one in uncirculated condition, meaning the coin is free from any signs of wear or damage, is a rare and valuable find. When these coins are preserved in mint condition, they stand out from the pack and catch the attention of collectors. Now, let's take it a step further. What if we told you that there are certain minting errors on the 1990 Jefferson nickel that could make this coin even more valuable? That's right, errors are what set some coins apart from others and can significantly increase their worth. So, what types of errors should you be on the lookout for? Let's go over some of the most exciting possibilities. one of the most sought-after errors in the world of coin collecting is the off-center strike. This occurs when a coin is struck in the minting press but isn't properly aligned, causing the design to be imprinted off-center. The result is a coin with a misaligned image that looks completely unique. Off-center coins are rare and often considered to be more visually interesting and collectible. If you happen to find a 1990 Jefferson nickel with an off-center strike, you could be looking at a valuable piece. Another error to watch for is the double strike. A double strike happens when a coin is struck twice, usually by the same die, causing the design to appear twice on the coin. This error creates a blurry or overlapping image, making the coin look different from a typical one. Double-struck coins are often extremely valuable because they are so rare and show a clear flaw in the minting process that collectors find fascinating. If your 1990 Jefferson nickel has a double strike, it could definitely be worth more than its face value. Minting errors like die cracks and die chips are also worth noting. A die crack occurs when the die used to stamp the design onto the coin starts to crack, leaving a visible flaw in the image. A die chip, on the other hand, is a small piece of the die that breaks off and gets transferred to the coin. These types of errors may seem subtle, but they can make a coin significantly more valuable to collectors who love to add unique pieces to their collections. So, what makes the 1990 Jefferson nickel truly rare and valuable? It's all about condition and the possibility of minting errors. A coin that has been well preserved, free from damage, and kept in uncirculated condition is already rare by itself. But add a minting error to the mix, and the value could skyrocket. A pristine, error-free 1990 Jefferson nickel can fetch a decent amount of money, but when you add an off-center strike, double strike, or any other minting mistake, you're looking at something that could really blow your mind. Now, the million-dollar question: how much could a 1990 Jefferson nickel with the right condition or error be worth? If you've got one of these elusive coins, whether it's in mint condition or with a rare error, it could be worth as much as $51,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $51,000 for a single 5-cent coin. It's crazy to think that a coin that was originally worth just 5 cents could now be worth a small fortune. That's the beauty of coin collecting. What seems like a small, insignificant piece of currency can hold incredible value if you know what to look for. So, what does this mean for you, the coin collector? Well, if you've got a collection of coins from the late 80s or early 90s, it's definitely worth going through them carefully to check for any 1990 Jefferson nickels that might be in excellent condition or that show signs of a minting error. You might just have a rare treasure waiting to be discovered. Remember, it's all about condition, rarity, and unique characteristics that make a coin valuable. With a little bit of luck and a sharp eye, you could find yourself holding onto a nickel worth far more than its face value.